Donald Trump delivered a truly deranged speech in West Palm Beach, Florida. Even though we look at a lot of these sorts of events on the part of Donald Trump and they go off the rails often, this one was even more notable than many of those in the past, where he, among other things that we'll get to, praises or calls smart Hezbollah. So now in line with or alongside his praise of Xi Jinping and Kim Jong-un and Putin, he's praising terrorists, especially within the context of the moment that we're in following the terrorist attack by Hamas against Israel and the relationship between Hezbollah and Hamas. And so with that being said, some reporting, then I'll show you this clip. Axios reports former President Trump's criticism of Israeli officials and labeling of Hezbollah, as very smart Wednesday night drew a scathing response from both the White House and Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. And the White House Deputy Press Secretary Andrew Bates said, "Statements like this are dangerous and unhinged. It's completely lost on us why any American would ever praise an Iran-backed terrorist organization as smart." With that being said, here's this moment again, called out by even many Republicans.
And then 2 nights ago, I read all of Biden's security people. Can you imagine? National defense people. And they said, gee, I hope Hezbollah doesn't attack from the north because that's the most vulnerable spot. I said, wait a minute. You know, Hezbollah is very smart. They're all very smart. The press doesn't like when they say it. You know, I said that President Xi of China, 1.4 billion people, he controls it with an iron fist. I said, he's a very smart man. They killed me the next day. I said he was smart. What am I going to say? But Hezbollah, they're very smart. And they have a national defense minister or somebody saying, I hope Hezbollah doesn't attack us from the north. So the following morning they attacked. They might not have been doing it, but if you listen to this jerk.
So we've covered this many times in the past with the different authoritarian leaders he praises and his obsession with complimenting their intelligence. And he won't give one single compliment to an ally of ours. But Hezbollah or Xi Jinping, Kim Jong-un, Putin, he has all these compliments for. Recently calling Xi Jinping a great gentleman. So now we're getting outside of just an analysis of intelligence all the way to just generally as a person, a great gentleman. And it is stunning that now his followers, who would have gone just unbelievably wild if Obama ever said anything like that, or if Biden ever says anything like that, are just perfectly great with Trump saying these sorts of things on a regular basis. Then he continues in talking about what is taking place right now in Israel and Gaza, and takes it as an opportunity to complain about his own grievances with Israeli officials, specifically the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu.
Room, we followed the whole thing, and about 15 seconds later it was all over and we did it. But I'll never forget that Bibi Netanyahu let us down. That was a very terrible thing, I will say that. And so when I see sometimes the intelligence, you talk about the intelligence, or you talk about some of the things that went wrong over the last week, they've got to straighten it out, because they're fighting potentially a very big force. They're fighting potentially Iran. And when they have people saying the wrong things, everything they say is being digested by these people, because they're vicious and they're smart. And boy, are they vicious, because nobody's ever seen the kind of sight that we've seen. Nobody's ever seen it. But they cannot play games. So we were disappointed by that, very disappointed, but we did the job ourselves, and it was absolute precision, magnificent.
So he's talking about when General Soleimani in Iran was assassinated under the Trump administration, and he was unhappy with, let down by Benjamin Netanyahu in that moment for not, I guess, coordinating like he'd wanted with the United States government during that operation. And this being the time when he wants to complain about that is just so strange. Then this on Barack Obama.
Instead of keeping terrorists and terrorist sympathizers out of America, the Biden administration is inviting them in. You know why? because he's got a boss. Who's his boss? Barack Hussein Obama. Barack Hussein. Barack Hussein Obama. Remember the great Rush Limbaugh? Barack Hussein Obama. Here you go, Barack Hussein Obama. Hello, Lee. Unbelievably, the corrupt Biden.
To his audience, do you know that he's treating you like a child? Like a group of children? Thinking that he can rile you up and excite you and make you think that he's your guy by doing the most simplistic, basic form of bigotry, just being, his name doesn't sound like a white name. Hussein. He thinks that's enough to win you over. And you're cheering along. He's treating you like a child and you're cheering along. Like a bigoted child. Hussein, do you get it? What's the joke there? Really aggravating. And then again, bringing the conversation about Israel back to himself. Everything's about Donald Trump.
And if the election wasn't rigged, there would be nobody even thinking about going into Israel. The election was rigged, very sadly rigged.
Everything's about the election being rigged with him. We talked on yesterday's show about Laura Ingraham taking this conversation to saying, as Biden was calling out hate, she says in response to a clip of him calling out hate and saying there's no place for hate. Well, if you really care about hate, why don't you prevent the prosecutions of Trump? Because that's hateful. Similar thing going on here. Trying to exploit a conversation about mass suffering to lie about our elections. It's truly stunning and the lowest of character. And another moment here, just lying about Biden and his conversations with Benjamin Netanyahu.
And I fought for Israel like no president in history, but then crooked Joe Biden came along and tossed Israel to the bloodthirsty jihadists. That's what happened. He gave them, no, he wouldn't even call up the prime minister, they called him. It's a very sad thing when you look at what happened.
He's just lying. Biden has had multiple conversations since the weekend's terrorist attack with Benjamin Netanyahu. He's had multiple conversations. Completely ridiculous. And then, just to close this out, because what we're watching there is upsetting, something more lighthearted. Before Trump came out, the national anthem was performed by an a cappella group. And they weren't the best that you've ever heard. I'll just play sort of towards the end.
And the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free?
Okay. So there is that. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to be a part of what makes this show possible, plus get access to the full video version of the show and the bonus show on the weekends, you can do so by going to lukebeasleyshow.com/membership. That's lukebeasleyshow.com/membership. And there's a link in the description.